going to talk about here's a Lunar Hostel idea. Let me just give you a little background. We had nice people from the University of Wisconsin, Milwaukee, which is actually around a graduate student in a totally different department I've never met them before. Here giving that other thing, but we're a totally different thing. We're just chapter members of the National Space Society. We're the Milwaukee chapter. And a couple of years ago, the National Space Society sponsored a contest for lunar base design, which we entered and took second place to the University of Texas at Austin in first place. And the group that did that said, geez, this is good, let's think about other things. But one of the things we thought about was this base for thousands of people. And how do we get there from here? What are the steps? And as you kept backing up, wow, lunar base, okay, very important. Who knows how it's going to be done? Wait a minute, we're not even getting the money for a space station or anything. Let's think about minimal things. Let's think about the idea of what we can use from the moon, what we can bring from Earth to get a nice place for a person to live quickly and cheaply. And it's not only lunar. We use the moon because that's where folks use. This is actually anywhere. You can use the idea of muscle as kind of our guiding principle. Massive, undifferentiated, and simple things you want to get in the place you're going. And complex, lightweight, and expensive things you probably build here and send there. Okay, so that's kind of a guiding principle. And a spin-off idea of that is, okay, let's use big, dumb volume of space for people to live and build that there or send it in, just volume. We just need space that's pressurized for people to live in. All the smart stuff, all the environmental control stuff, all of the experimentation stuff, why don't we have it in a vehicle that can go and visit this big dumb volume and connect into it, okay, and use the idea of a hostel. In other words, you can go launch something that's just big, covered up with lunar regolith, visit it when you need it with whatever instruments you're going to use at the time, and you can live there and do whatever you need to do. And that's essentially the idea of the hostel. It's an idea to take up the hostel, which is a term for a shelter place on Earth. You come in with what you need, you just sleep there, you do what you want to do, and you leave the way you come. Hopefully. We call the vehicle the small, smart cranny, as opposed to the big dumb bomb. By not duplicating the equipment and facilities at different places, you reduce the number of EVA hours necessary, the total amount of cargo, and you can actually, one of the driving things was an article Bob Zubrin sent to our newsletter about fast ways to land things direct on the moon or Mars, and that you could use that idea to land hospitals in various places and go and visit them and cover a whole large area, not have a base in one spot on the moon, but have places all over the place where you go and visit. You'll go and visit here. Let's go and visit there. And really cover, do a lot more research on what's around on the moon. We've already had one hostel. That's what this overhead is on the moon. That was a lunar module. It offered a hammock, and you could actually take 2 steps in it, and had negative cosmic ray protection in the sense that it was actually worse to be inside of it than outside it because of secondary cosmic rays off the outside. So that's, if we take a step up, there's several things we have to look at. This could be a next step idea from the lunar module, but you have to define some stuff. What are you going to put in the hostel? What are you going to put in the vehicle? And what is that going to do to the type of vehicle? What is your vehicle going to look like then? With whatever stuff you're going to have in it. Also, what about if you do want to eventually make it into a standalone thing? How would you do it? Could you, or would you have to throw that away and just do something else? And just to examine some possible architectures. These are the ideas that we try to do. And that's either prefabricated on Earth or hopefully construct them using native materials at some point, or at least use native materials or native resources in any way we can. let me just go through. The first thing we looked at was the splitting of functions between the vehicle and the hostel. And this is only, there's several different ways you can think about this. You can think of it as an outpost to start with. You can also think about it as, once you have a base, you still want to have outposts. Suppose you have far-side observatories or something like that. This might be a perfect thing. You don't visit them very often, but it would be nice to have something like that there. You go and visit, you have space to live, and so on, and you go away, and you can just leave it there. Okay. This is the first thing the first thing let's talk about is the vehicle versus the hostel, and what we think, or what we thought would be interesting to put in one versus the other. First of all, in the vehicle, you have the communication centers, navigation systems, and so on, fuel systems, electrolysis for liquid oxygen, and so on, that you might get out of the lunar regulator. You have the air quality, ventilation, thermal management controls, and so on. And galley, you bring your food and everything else in. Also, you might have some kind of entertainment things, because we're assuming that you're going to come and stay here for some time, so you're going to have to bring your tapes and so on. The hostel is what? Bedrooms, lounge, office, chapel, essentially very much like what they had in some of what that was a little bit more expanded than what we're talking about here in that little base design before. You probably would want to have a radio in the hostel, and so you can, let's say yours is bad or whatever, you just want to communicate with someone. It would be nice. You could bring things like personal computers are becoming, commodity items, lightweight. You might have things like that in there. You may put power generation equipment in that you can just leave. Also, what you're going to want to do is, one of the problems that we're seeing that we've had talked about, that we talked about with people from the Center for Great Lakes Studies actually, is a big problem is, what are you going to do with the fungi and the bacteria and everything that are going to slime the walls of anything that you live in? Okay, and this is going to be a big problem. You probably want some kind of baking cycle or dehumidification thing so that when you leave, you don't have things that are going to stay there and grow, which they will. They'll stay there even in the vacuum. Other things you might have at a hostel would be some kind of a rover. This is an idea that we had, you probably want toilets. You want waste banking toilets. Why take all of this stuff? This is only if you're thinking about staying. If you're thinking about having long-term equipment there, you're going to need organic materials, bottles, carbon, and everything. Why take that all away when you leave? All the waste that you produce, all the food waste. Why not bank it? Maybe get the water out of it or whatever for reuse, and just leave it there. It's a resource then. You're making your own mine for the future. You might not use it for 20 years or 30 years, but that could be a pretty big resource when you do use it. So that would be something you might want to do. You can have a main dining area in there, snack bar and so on. You have some kind of infirmary space and dry space-needing workstations. Okay, in other words, experimental positions that don't need water or anything like that. Also, you have visual access to the exterior and lights, heliostats to bring lights in, etc. Everything's spaced. Bedroom consoles. You might want to also, again, if you're thinking about this as something that you're just visiting now and again, but you may visit more and more, you might want to leave things there, library. I say books now. Who knows whether it would be that, CDs or something. So that would be kind of what would be in a hostel. And that's really, essentially, it's just saying, hey, let's just think about what we do here on Earth at a hostel, if you've ever traveled through them. And what happens is they slowly accumulate more and more stuff as time goes by. So that's kind of a split. Now, course, Peter in the lead, he said, well, that's all very well and good, but we always have to concretize things. They may not look anything like these ideas, but you can't really think about it and think about things that can go wrong in it until you just try and throw up ideas. And this is some of it. This is an idea for a donut, an inflatable hostel that you could put, actually you could put on one of the rockets that Susan was talking about, or you can actually fit it in a shuttle bay, and essentially just have a central module. This or this would be the hostel, and you just inflate space. Okay, and that's, we're talking like 11 feet diameter, and you would bury that wherever you want, or stick it inside of a lava tube or whatever. In other words, you still have to where you want to have that radiation detection. So and then you have to have some kind of connection point. The other thing, okay, I just drew a car connected to it. Something's going to connect to it, whatever. That's one idea. Other things that you have to consider are if you're going to have that vehicle have all of those features that you're going to use, like all the liquid and stuff like that in it at the time, you probably want to do something like a Ramada. So you can drive up and have that be also. Let's see. Well, I guess I don't have that one, but a Ramada, if you're familiar with it, not the hotel. Yeah, the original Ramada is just a roof, okay, an open-sided roof. And we thought, well, geez, that would be easy to make. You just put up something. You got to remember you're in 1.6G. Throw a meter or so of dirt on it. You can easily do it, and you just park this underneath. It has a very somewhat of a protection. So you think about this and think of a little Ramada coming off. And you connect whatever you're connecting your vehicle to it underneath, and there you go. That's the idea. The other, so that's one. I'll throw up a few others. There's any number of ways you can do this, any way you want. Here's an extendable. What we're trying to do is get space, get lots of space to do what you want. Whatever you want to do, but you'll have pressurized space. You can have a telescope one. You could just have one that you ship up together and you just extend it out. And you can link these things together if you want it, and even have bigger, more space. Or you could have a slinky model. We were just brainstorming here. You could have something that pulled apart like that. Other ideas are just like a pancake, where you would just have a top and a bottom. And just expand it out like this. In other words, it's shipped flat, so you expand it out with some kind of flexible sides, and there you go. The idea is you want to have room to walk around, not just take 2 steps, and do it quickly, easily. There doesn't have to be anything in it. You don't have to have complex mechanical things or electronic things that way. You just want space. Now, So those are some of the ideas there. Let's just quickly go through some of the ideas for evolving the hostel with use. Again, first, Beachhead. If the moon-based plans that we have now kind of go away, like the space station is going away right now, we have to do something else. This could be a way to get a beachhead on the moon with a hostel and coupled vehicle concept. And you wouldn't have to have people permanently there, but you can still do certainly a lot of the astronomy that's discussed, people, and so on the moon. And you could have several of these, as I said, around. You could have several beachheads. You can look at it that way. Or you could use that as the future base, and as time went on, add more and more stuff to it, and eventually do try to further it all along. Otherwise, you probably just have to leave it as it is and build a base somewhere else. One of the ideas we did consider was an astronomy station on the far side. In other words, that would be a way to do that without having, in other words, we don't have to build the entire lunar base just for astronomy. If that's what we're doing, we're going to spend all this money building a lunar base and the driver is astronomy. We're not going to try to use the resources or anything else. What are we doing? We're wasting money. We're building stuff we're not going to use. So we shouldn't do it. I'm not saying we shouldn't do it. I'm saying we shouldn't do it if that's the only reason we do it. We should do it for other reasons. But also, remote prospecting camps. How do we know? Suppose we find in the central crater volcanism, like we said here. Or suppose we find that in titanium-rich soils there's helium-3, whatever. There's, in other words, some kind of local thing that's away from where the people are, or we just want to go and visit for some reason and do something for a period of time. That's the prospecting camp. And this, of course, means that these hostels aren't something that are going to disappear. I think this is an idea that's going to be used over and over again as we grow. In other words, provide pressurized space, go and visit what you need to do. You have, it's kind of like the base camp idea of mountaineering, in a sense. Put the stuff, maybe a few essentials that you need there, and you go and visit it, and you come back to it. It's a place to stop. Another idea is waysides. And that, in a sense, you could just use ramadas is one way. Suppose you do have separated things far apart, and you're going from one to another, and there's a solar flare, say. You've got to get undercover. This might be from the middle of the far side to the near side or something. So this is another idea. Or you could just have a roadway, like say from a lunar mine or something, where you're scraping up the regolith. It's probably going to be the main lunar mine. Or it could be a fuel cell change-out place, a fuel depot. So that's, or it could be something like an automated oxygen station. These are all just the ideas that we came up with, and I'm sure if people come up with more. In other words, you just come and visit it. You could actually send that out, have the thing use oxygen and so on, and then you go and visit it. Actually, very similar to the idea of the Mars, which I just heard today for the first time, thing. You send the thing out and it produces all this fuel. That's another idea. Architectures, okay, I've shown you a few. We kind of thought that hard-hull modules would not be the way to go, because if we're going to bring them from Earth, we don't want to do that. That's too heavy. And that's what we were talking about here. If we're building them from regolith or from some kind of glass composites or sintered something or whatever, locally manufactured, then that's the way to go. You're not going to have flexible things. You're not going to have polymers on the moon in vast quantities. So that would be that way. So those are the two things there. I showed you the telescoping thing, the other one, the sandwiches and so on. These are the things we came up with. These are what we call hybrid inflatables. There's a hard part, but it's mostly balloon, essentially, that you cover with things. One thing about these is that you could link them together. They could be like Quonset huts. They could be next to. You could have a bunch of them for ideas. Just and again, you don't put all the investment in all of the air purification equipment, all of the complex, relatively lightweight things and perishable things. You put that investment you move around. You don't have to do as much of that. And you put the cheap stuff, that the big heavy things or big volume things, that's easy. Let's just build those simple and cheap. So that's an idea. That's the kind of the Quonset hut, and then move in the complicated stuff inside. Shielding. It would be nice to be able to send these things up and have them telerobotically set up, ready, waiting for you. And shielding would have to be the thing that would probably be the toughest. I mean, certainly we could land, say, a pancake somewhere and have the thing inflate and be waiting for someone to come to it. You would have to design, I guess it would be possible. This was just something that we thought of to somehow throw some regolith on the top. I don't know, it would have to depend on where it landed and everything else. Maybe some kind of strange regolith blower, not blower, but maybe a snow blower just to put something on it. You're not going to need 1.5 meters on these unless you plan on spending long times there. We're talking about going to a place and being there for a while, so. But you're talking about a foot. So that's one. The last thing is native materials. If we do get native materials, that's when the potential for these things will be maximized. Because then, if you self-manufacture the modules or components, then they're available, they're there, they're cheap, and you don't have to be bringing up, you're cutting your ties to everything being brought up by the next rocket, and you're not worrying about it. This idea is kind of a compromise idea. In other words, what you're trying to do here is significantly lower the cost of getting people in a working environment on the moon or wherever you want to put these, yet actually the idea here is not to just make it a temporary thing like the Antarctic base, which is our hated thing. We don't want to have an Antarctic base on the moon. That's what we want is something that will break out, that expands. It's not static. And I think this way is, in our opinion, this was a way to do it. You can get there quickly, but you can get to more places. You have a lot of room. You're living in a living space more quickly. And we purposely didn't say what it would be like inside of these because people that are there are going to decide what the inside of these things is going to be like. In other words, we're not going to design them now. We'll let them design them without what they want inside. So that's my version of this paper. If you're more interested in it, you can talk to Peter. He'll be around. You can subscribe to the Moon Miners Manifesto, which is our local chapter newspaper. And there were a few of them up on the table. If not, you can see about that. We like to do these things as a chapter because when we envision the way the future will be, it becomes more real, and we can explain it to other people in a more real, concrete fashion, and they actually believe it, as opposed to when you normally talk to a person in the general public, they can't see the future, and therefore it doesn't exist for them. This is a way more, and it's fun. So, that's all. Any questions?
Well, I just want to emphasize something you said. I really like the idea of just an open space, and when a specific set of people with a specific project come to it, they can say what they really want to design. I personally am very annoyed by highly structured, over-designed interior spaces that were designed for something that I'm not actually doing and have nothing to do with my particular personality or the people that I'm working with. So I like that idea.
Thank you very much.